What's going on, guys? Zach here, undergroundstrength.tv, getwrestlingstrength.com. A lot of times I get asked to do interviews, and just because of my time and my inability to answer quickly, I like to do these interviews through video. So what happens is you guys listen in, you pick up some new training information, some new strong life information, and apply it. Here's the thing I want to get out of the way before I answer these questions. It's for a website called Dawn of Truth. Is that we're in a day and age where a lot of people are easily distracted. They're doing 3, 4, 5 things at once. They're being busy on Facebook, but not productive. My challenge to you, something that's worked very, very well for me, is I put my time, my investment of time into learning something, whether it's a book, whether it's listening to a podcast, and then I challenge myself and say, now you got to pick up or pick one thing from that new piece of information and you have to apply it. And I've done that in business, I've done that in training, I've done that in all aspects of life. It's proven to be very powerful. And I've learned that because success leaves clues. Successful people don't waste time. They leverage their time. Everything they do has a, like their whole idea behind everything they do has to have of benefit, has to be some sort of productive outcome versus just wasting time. Because time is the one thing you never get back. So let's get to these questions. Dawn of Truth says, can you share some history on how you got into wrestling and training in general? So I began wrestling and really training consistently at the end of 8th grade. I was 13 and a half. My older brother joined the high school wrestling team at Edison High School. He was a sophomore, and he started training in ways and kind of with this like possessed way, madman possessed, that I had never seen before. He would do things like come up into my room and he would just like do barbell curls and be sweating bullets. He would run 3 times a day with our Doberman, morning, after school, and at night. So a mile at a clip, just sprinting. I remember watching him working out with a friend up the street, and he was hanging off of the ledge over his garage door doing fingertip pull-ups. So he was just finding ways to work out. He was reading the bodybuilding magazines, which were Muscle and Fitness, Muscular Development, Flex Magazine. As much as they were all bodybuilding magazines, that's all we had the information of. He was just finding ways to train. We would go to the local park, and back then they had stairs that were made of cement, but the stairs were about 18 inches high. So we would run stairs, sprint the hills, and that's how I started getting into training. I mean, this is back in the day of my brother buying a Solo Flex. He saved up money from working as a busboy. I also worked as a busboy on Saturday nights. Usually would be done working at 11:30 at night. I started doing that job in 6th grade. And I remember, utilizing the Solo Flex, utilizing weights filled with sand. And he convinced me to join the wrestling team my freshman year in high school. That is 1989. So, damn, I am feeling old. What are some of the, next question. You've suffered from injuries yourself early in your career before you were a coach. How did you come back from your injuries? And how did this influence you in your work when training others? Back in the day when I'd get injured, before I was a performance coach, I didn't know anything about prehab, rehab, or getting better. All that you were told to do by a doctor is just rest. Stop doing what you're doing. So when I had torn my shoulder wrestling, my doctor said, just rest. When I had my first meniscus surgery, he said, don't do anything for 2 weeks and then go back and do your normal thing. And that stuff did not work, and it pissed me off. I remember after my first knee surgery, I was going to multiple doctors and all these knee specialists, and they were giving me all kinds of ridiculous things to do. And then I think I was 18, or actually, my bad, I was 19, maybe 20 by then, after my first surgery. And I said, you know what? I'm going to figure out how to train on my own after this knee surgery, and I'm going to just do what doesn't hurt. So I remember I said, 1 week I'll squat, next week I'll leg press, I'll always do one leg curl variation, and I'll always do an RDL. So I would back squat, Then once my knee started feeling a little bit like it had enough, I'd be done squatting. Then I'd go on and do a leg curl variation and RDLs. Next week I would do leg presses, a different leg curl variation, and RDLs. Before I knew it, I was back up to squatting 315, 365, 405, getting my full range of motion. That was my first lesson in not wanting to listen to quote-unquote experts and doctors who really didn't understand training. They understood, if I'm going to fix you, I'm going to perform surgery on you, and then everything's going to be back to normal. And now I'm at a point where it's like, shit, I am not going to do those surgeries. You know, I was having shoulder issues probably by the time I was a sophomore in high school. I'll never really understand exactly why, because I've seen many people train incorrectly, train poorly, but genetically they're built like iron. They never get hurt, even with all the stupid accumulation of shit they do to themselves. There are other people that eat clean, live a great lifestyle, train properly, and they get injured. So there's a genetic factor involved there. As much as people will say, oh, no, it's not true, it is true. Because after decades of watching people train in all kinds of areas and places, some people never get hurt. It's quite amazing. Next question, what are the biggest challenges you see people facing when they want to go from pretty boy fit and healthy to old school strong? So many years ago, I did a video on this. My son Ethan may have been a year old. I did a video on guys old school training by Dr. Ken. I have it on a VHS tape. And I was talking about how this kid approached my gym one day on steroids. I hadn't seen him for 2 years. He was about, I can't recall, let's just say 220 or 230 at about 5'5". He was huge. I saw him 2 or 3 years prior. He was 130 pounds. We don't all gain 100 pounds so easily. And he was talking about, oh, you know, I wrestled last year, and, you know, I went 4-4, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, you know, you're built like a monster, but you went 4-4, even with the fucking drugs. And look, to each their own, but I like doing shit on my own. And that video caused a rant where people were like, oh, he's hating on bodybuilders. I was a bodybuilder before. I still use a lot of bodybuilding methods, but I hate when people claim to be so big and bad, but they cheat their way to get there. So if you're going to compete, make it a level playing field by showing up naturally. So, you know, the difference between, to each their own. If you don't give a shit about lifting heavy weights, I don't give a shit. Like, do your own thing. And that's what I believe in. Like, I love to train heavy. I love to train hard and train intense. And that's it. I've got, since I'm older, my inspiration is much less about looking like, you know, a bodybuilder or fitness person. Back in the day, that is what really inspired me. I wanted to be built like those golden era greats from the 50s and 60s. I knew that if I was going to try to look like the bodybuilders of the 70s, I knew what that was going to take. That was going to require me to not be natural, something I didn't want to take part in. So it's to each their own. That's really what it comes down to. I don't hate on anybody. I just think people should work hard and not make excuses. That's it. What are some of the biggest, we did that. Following this question, how would you define the difference between old school strength and modern training? If we can even define it as simply as that. I mean, if you want to, you know, old school strength is, you know, it was barbells, it was powerlifting, it was Olympic weightlifting, it was a lot of gymnastic drills. You know, at the old school health and strength picnics at the York Barbell Club, you'd see John Grimmick doing power cleans with 300 pounds. Then you'd see him doing handstands and tiger press-ups. That's when you're in a handstand, lower yourself to your forearms and press yourself back up. It's tricep strength, abdominal strength. So back then it was a different kind of training. I don't know if those guys were on steroids or not. I'm sure there was something always going around. I mean, that stuff's been around since, you know, Hitler was giving steroids to, you know, his army. That was just kind of the way of the world. But I think in today's day and age, I always say to myself, like, shit, can I not just train without having to put this on Instagram? And that's the world we live in. We're always trying to hype things up and shock people, and we have to, you know, light our hair on fire and light the barbell on fire. My friend John Welburn said, like, I'm sorry, I wish I was a better liar. And he was talking about, I think, Dr. Stuart McGill, I think, had written a book. And he goes, Dr. McGill, this book's amazing, but nobody's going to buy it. There's just no shock and awe. There's no, contradictory methods in there where people are going to get freaked out. You're talking about learning to brace your abs, carry, lift heavy weights, sprinting. He goes, nobody wants to hear about that shit because it sounds like it's too simple. And he's right. The beauty, the expert understands the power and beauty behind simplicity and doesn't need to shock anybody with fads and gimmicks. And I will never go that route because in my mind, I would rather be broke than have to fucking attract people's attention by lighting my weights on fire and just, I do these rants because I get fired up and pissed off because I wish that the fucking truth is what actually made money. But it's just not the way of the world. And to me, I think that sucks. It's a disappointment. I really like that you're sharing not just training with your students, but mindset and training for life. How do you share these ideas into these young guys? You got to coach them beyond, the weights. I always tell everybody, especially, our team of coaches, I go, guys, true strength must transcend the barbell. It must transcend the gym. So we have to teach them why we're pushing them to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And not everybody buys in. Look, there's some of our athletes that are kind of like teeter-tottering on the edge of being, they think they're too good because they're successful in sports. They're getting arrogant. They're not putting in the extra work. But their time will come when somebody beats them and doesn't give a shit about how talented they were. Because, that old school saying of, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't want to work hard. When you're only working hard enough, that shit creeps up on you. And the majority of our athletes buy into it. And then there's always a couple who do not. And I'm good with that because I understand that I can't win over everybody and I can't expend my energy trying to save everybody, especially people who are arrogant. I feel like I don't want to be a preacher, so they've got to learn their lesson the hard way. That's oftentimes the best way we do learn our lessons, through pain, through injury, through challenges, through tough times. Next question. I, for one, love the language you use on undergroundstrengthcoach.com. Dominating, committing to the goal, not just trying mentality, having integrity for everything you do, and an unbeatable work ethic. You sum this up as live the code 365. Did this expression come about organically from the lessons you learned in life? Tell us more about what it means to live this code, what it means to you. I remember just from the many times of doing a certification, really trying to impart not just training wisdom to the coaches, but that it's about genuinely caring. So I said, what's it about? Honesty, integrity, commitment, work ethic. I said, at the end of the day, honestly assess yourself and ask yourself, did I give these kids or these adults, whoever you're training, did I give them everything in my heart? Did I put it all out there on the line? Or did I leave, did I conserve energy in the tank? Did I leave some of it there? Because that's gone forever. So honestly, audit yourself. Are you giving life your best effort? Integrity means that, if you're going to run a business, you're going to be a coach, then be honest about it. Do the right things. Don't be, sneaky with the way that you do business. And I think we see with the world of the internet, we only see what people want to share. I don't want to share a lot of things like inside my family life. I want more privacy. In fact, there will be a day where I cannot wait to not have Instagram, no Facebook, no Twitter, no nothing. I don't know how or when that day will come, but if anybody wants to help, let me know, baby. So commitment and work ethic simply means, be a fucking worker. Excuses, laziness, all this, accepting a mediocrity, it will not help you achieve success. I get upset because everybody's capable to succeed, but so many people hurt others because they don't give their honest best. They half-ass it. They're not fully committed. They don't have the work ethic. And in turn, I've seen that hurt other people that they should be caring about. So I have a problem with that. I want everybody to do their best. And I always say, I'm not perfect, but every day I'm fucking fighting to do my best. It's always a fight. There's no such thing as perfect. What we're trying to do is just get better. 1 inch of progress a day adds up over the course of the months and the years. Next question. Routine, I believe, is super important in terms of making changes in your life, getting things done. Can you share your morning routine and perhaps what a normal day for the underground strength coach consists of? Yep, I usually wake up at 6 a.m. I make coffee for my wife and I start doing work. I start writing. I don't check emails. I don't go on Facebook or any of the social channels. I send out my morning email at from Even-Esh.com. I do something that's step one, producing value for other people, inspiring, educating, teaching. I don't want to start my day getting caught up in the drama and the bullshit of the negative news and the crybaby Facebook and all this shit. I want to do something where my day started by controlling and owning my success. I do writing of some sort, working of some sort till 7 a.m., wake up my kids, and then I make breakfast. Eggs, egg omelet, bagel with egg, cheese, and lox on it, chocolate chip pancakes. I mean, every morning I make breakfast for my family. That's been one of the most simple yet most biggest driving forces and just inspiring me to take care of my family. Then after that, I take my kids to school and I drive straight to my gym. I do some mobility work, maybe a little bit of light yoga even. I do some soft tissue work, and then I train. And when I'm training I'm very inspired. So I'll do a strong life tip of the day. I'll film some videos in between sets or during sets. So I'm leveraging my time and taking that knowledge and sharing it, usually for GetWrestlingStrength.com or for all the various aspects of the underground strength, I guess the whole umbrella. Then I get home and I'm doing work. So I might be doing the behind the scenes marketing and advertising of the gym. Might be doing programming for my various programs. I've got Garage Gym Gladiators at GarageGymAthletes.com, the workouts for the gym. So there's a lot of behind the scenes work going on. And then I run my gyms in the afternoon. And I usually do that 3 to 4 weekdays. I do Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Mondays, I tend to be with my son or my daughter. I take them to their sport practices. And this month, opening up 2 more locations of the Underground Strength Gym. So I'm very busy. I'm always pushing forward and getting comfortable, being uncomfortable. So working hard. Next question is, looking back to the past with characters like Alexander Zass and the Mighty Atom, they were super inspiring to me and my life in training. Who has inspired you on the journey so far? Well, many people have inspired me, both from the past and current day. But I love the story, the book on the Mighty Atom. Of course, George Hackenschmidt, The Way to Live. The Mighty Gorner was amazing. I've probably forgotten more books than I'm remembering. I've got monster bookshelves and like big boxes filled with old school stuff. And back in the day when VHS tapes were out, I was getting Westside Barbell tapes, videos of Dr. Ken training college football players and doing all of his workouts. So I've got, for somebody my age, there's not a whole lot of guys that are in their 30s or age 40 like myself who have studied up on a lot of those kind of older styles of training. So those are my favorites. And my biggest inspiration started with reading Arnold's Education of a Bodybuilder and the Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding, the original one. I'm not a fan of the 2.0 that came out with like the chemical warfare, the extremely steroided up guys. I mean, I'm just not a fan of that stuff. Bringing it all together, you're not just a successful athlete or coach, but you're successful in life, showing others how to do the same. Can you explain how you take someone who has interest in training to become a successful strength coach who inspires others? You look to be pretty consistent in doing this. See, that's the thing about me is I worked extremely hard, but I wouldn't consider myself a successful athlete. I was a little bit young, a little bit immature and inexperienced before I was able to really put those traits to use. So I missed my opportunity. So that inspires me to help these kids not miss those opportunities. And I think it all comes down to, the whole foundation is, you must genuinely care. I care about seeing other strength coaches succeed. I care because I know that if I could help them, they could help other kids. And that's kind of the mission that I'm on, is helping this younger generation. And when you've got a purpose, it will drive you. Listen to any of my Strong Life podcast episodes, especially with Joe DeSena. We speak about purpose. We speak about having a deep-rooted, something in your heart that drives you. I say it's as simple as, do you care or not? Caring will drive you in the relentless pursuit of excellence. If you don't really care, then you're not going to really try that hard. I'm just trying to do my best. That's all I really understand how to do. I've got so many more questions. I'll leave it there for now. For those who enjoyed this interview, how can they get in touch with you and involved with what you're doing? Go to undergroundstrengthcoach.com. That's the Underground Inner Circle, or the Underground Strength Academy. Since 2005, I've built up that website with so much content, I can't even figure out how to get people to understand how powerful it is in there. I've got seminars that we converted to streaming videos, clinics that I've done for athletes and coaches. There's business talks. There's things that I've never released before, many things that go into that website. It is a hub for education without getting caught up in the bullshit and the fucking fakeness. Garage Gym Athletes is my online training team where I coach you week by week, day by day. And ZachEven-Esh.com is undergroundstrength.tv. And that's like linking up to my podcast or my social channels. I appreciate you spending time to answer. I've got hundreds of questions. Thanks for the inspiration. And Simon, the reason why I did is so cool. You said you've been following my stuff since 2005, 2006. So, man, I've been doing this for well over a decade. I remember the first YouTube video, I called up a friend and I said, dude, there's this website called YouTube, and I posted a video and there was like 16 or 17 people watched my video. Have to laugh at it. The internet is an interesting thing. The world is a crazy place, and the only way to thrive is to live the strong life. I'm not talking about survival. I'm talking about thriving. I'm Zach Even-Esh. Peace out. Thanks.